boxing fans, and welcome back. Am I the only one who remembers when Gennady Golovkin said that he was willing to face everyone between 154 and 168? And do you also remember when him and his team were actively pursuing fights against Froch and Chavez at 168, and when Ward came knocking, they said no, 164? And do you also remember Gennady and team expressing a willingness to face Floyd Mayweather Jr. at 154 pounds? And yet now, Team Golovkin seems reluctant to face Canelo at 155.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Jr. Mayweather. There's Rico Cotto, now it is Canelo, following their footsteps into catchweight heaven. All Gennady ever wanted, all Gennady ever needed is at 155. Catchweight's very unnecessary, they can only do harm. All Gennady ever wanted, all Gennady ever needed is at 155. Catchweight's very unnecessary, they can only do harm.
This is Rummy's Corner. Now, in fairness to Gennady, when he originally made that claim, that was a couple of years back at this point, and I understand at the time he didn't have the exposure he had now, he didn't have the star power he has now. So I understand that times change, even though his team and Gennady himself, and I know definitely Abel Sanchez, they've recently repeated the same sentiment about anyone between 154 and 168, but actions speak louder than words. And I don't begrudge Gennady and team for wanting to get fights with Froch and Chavez Jr. at 168. I actually think Froch would have beaten Golovkin if the fight had happened, but in any case, those are money fights. I understand that Andre Ward is far more talented than those guys, and that the prospects of facing Ward at 168 is something that probably was never really seriously on the plate for Golovkin. I mean, after a couple of weeks ago when Ward easily dispatched of Golovkin's stablemate Sullivan Barrera, I think somewhere Abe Sanchez was thanking his lucky stars that they were smart enough to realize that Andre Ward was probably a step too much up in talent for Golovkin, hence the 164 suggestion, which they knew Ward couldn't make. I think Ward would have done 168 for a last fight with Golovkin, but it didn't happen, and now he's on to 175, and Golovkin is here now. So forgetting the hypocrisy on the 168 thing where they told Ward a different weight or whatnot, you got the whole Floyd thing, and you can't take anything. I mean, anybody within 30, 40 pounds of Floyd was probably thinking of a hypothetical way they could put a fight together for them. So I don't, Gennady saying he'd fight Floyd at 154, of course he would. It's like the lottery sweepstakes in boxing to land the Floyd fight. So I get that. But what I really don't get is we have Golovkin coming up fighting Dominic Wade, and no disrespect meant towards Wade, but he's a class below Golovkin. It's a hard fight to get excited about, whether you're a Golovkin fan, a Golovkin detractor, or someone totally neutral. It's just not a fight. I mean, Golovkin, in the grand scheme of things, he'll get another title defense in there, and he'll probably continue his consecutive knockout streak. But this fight doesn't do much to get fans excited. But it leaves me baffled, utterly baffled, that Golovkin and his team aren't jumping at the chance for a fight against Canelo at 155. I honestly don't understand it, aside from the fact that maybe Golovkin and his team knows that they were full of shit on the 154 claims and that Golovkin really can't make that weight, that for Floyd he'd be able to, but maybe he won't be effective at that weight, and I can respect that. But in my mind, Canelo represents everything that Golovkin was looking for. Easy prey and a stylistic matchup that I believe is a nightmare for Canelo Alvarez. It's a big money fight. It's the type of fight where if Golovkin is ever going to raise to that next level where he has a greater sense of crossover appeal, if he's going to improve his brand to that next level, then Canelo is exactly the guy he wants to be in there with. What I don't understand is this. If I were Golovkin and his people, I mean, they could be making a pretty penny on step-aside fees. I don't know the logistics of that, and I understand at the end of this day, we gotta remember, these guys are trying to make a living for their families. But I don't understand, nonetheless, why Golovkin doesn't call Canelo's bluff and say, yeah, 155, let's do it. Because Canelo's got the Khan fight coming up, and I don't really believe that Amir Khan has any chance in this one. I mean, even in a best case scenario for Amir Khan, if he boxes Canelo's ears off, I don't think he'll ever get the decision. And even if he knocks Canelo out, it'll have to be something a hell of a lot more decisive than what Andrade did to Lucien Bute all those years ago. I mean, it would have to be some type of knockout more definitive than that, or they'll try to take it away from him similarly to what they did to Andrade. I have no doubt about that. So Canelo's gonna beat Khan, and Golovkin's stuck fighting Dominic Wade, and they're talking about the possibility of Canelo facing Manny Pacquiao later this year in the event that Pacquiao beats Timothy Bradley. I hate catchweights as a general rule, but what this tells me is that unless Golovkin calls Canelo's bluff, we're gonna see a linear middleweight champion who's fighting a who's who of 140 and 147 pound fighters. I mean, I could see him facing Khan, Pacquiao, Bradley, all these guys for the middleweight title. So I don't really get why Golovkin, I mean, again, I don't know what the hell kind of deal they have. What the fuck do I know? They might be getting paid millions and millions where Golovkin thinks it's worth the wait, and he might think he'll get the fight eventually at some point anyway. I don't think he will, but maybe he will. So right now, I don't think Golovkin is any closer to the big money fight he's been looking for, the one he wants, the one he needs. I don't think it's coming anytime soon. I think Canelo is going to continue to milk that belt with the blessings of the WBC, fighting a who's who of welterweights. I think that Golovkin is going to continue to be on the outside looking in, hoping for an opportunity, but I think, again, it's there. It's Canelo. Take the fight, call his bluff, compromise, get him to come up a pound and a half, whatever. Do what it takes to get him in the ring, and I just don't see Canelo having much luck against Golovkin, whether it's at 160 or whether it's 155, but then again, I'm not privy to the information on how well Golovkin can perform at 155. So again, no disrespect meant to Dominic Wade. I think he's a pretty good fighter from what I've seen of him, but he's not in the same class as Golovkin. So I fully expect Golovkin to win by knockout or by stoppage, and I think he'll continue his streak of title defenses, depending on where you count that actually having started, whether you give a lot of credence to that interim belt or whatnot. I think Canelo is going to go on to inevitably beat Khan, which I think the wild factor that could maybe play out in Golovkin's favor is Bradley Pacquiao 3, where if Pacquiao wins, I think it's going to be I think all signs are pointing towards Canelo Pacquiao later this year. But if Bradley wins, well, then Canelo will probably fight Bradley, so I don't know if it really helps Golovkin in any case anyway. At the end of the day, with that comment Golovkin made, anyone from 154 to 168, I mean, I never really took it too seriously, so the hypocrisies of all that don't bother me any. But what he really did was he gave all of his critics, all of his detractors, all the ammunition they need to really lay the attacks on him. I mean, they're now equipped with an elephant gun on a quail hunt, and Gennady kind of did that to himself. In any case, this is Rumsfeld. Thank you for tuning in. Please stay tuned for more episodes in the future, and if you enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much, and good day, or good night.
It might be difficult for you to get guys to get in the ring with you right now, even in this very deep, talented middleweight division. You said that you told me yesterday that you'd fight anyone from 154 to 168 pounds. Who do you have in mind?
Seriously, doesn't matter who next, I'm ready. I'm stay here. I'm in America. I'm happy now. I'm ready now.
Would you fight anyone from 54 to 68?
Yeah, everybody.
Anyone?
Of course, anyone. Yeah, of course.
If Andre Ward beat Chad Dawson, you'd fight him.
Yeah, what not? Yeah, Andre was a good man.